Heartland Focus. Joining me is Chief of Police. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me back, Tim.
Hey, man, thank you. I know these are tough times. We're in we just experienced Thanksgiving, and we have all this mess going on in Ferguson. But really wanted to have you come on so we can have some real dialogue about really here in Omaha, and not so much in terms of Ferguson, but let's just give your perspective of kind of what's going on and what might be different here in Omaha than what's happening in Ferguson.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on Heartland Focus again, Tim. It's been a while since I've been on. It's always good to come and visit with you on the subject.
Appreciate that.
Obviously, the issue in Ferguson does extrapolate all across the country in a lot of levels. Yeah. The city of Omaha, and every city is going to be different. There are various ways in which police departments attempt to interact and police in their city.
Yes.
But like the military, what we have chosen here with the Omaha Police Department is to be very robust with our community policing. We have found that that is the best way to improve and foster police-community relations. There's really three tentacles to community policing that's so very important. The first one is police-community relations, and just being out there and being a part of the community, because who knows the community better than those that live there?
That's right.
So community policing is not a soft form of policing. It's a way to get information to address crime and problems with the community as part of the solution. That's first of all. The second caveat to that is it allows the public and the officers to see each other in a different light.
Yeah.
You get to know each other. And you have to ask yourself, once you've gotten to know somebody, very seldom you dislike them.
That's right. That's right.
So that's a very positive piece. And that third piece to it is very seldom talked about. And I could talk about it for hours, but in the interest of time, I'll boil it down this way. It provides a mechanism, when done appropriately, to address problems as they occur. So that there is bona fide solutions to the problems when they do occur. So the first time that you've had to address a problem in the community should not be in the aftermath of a major incident.
That's right.
You should have those relationships and that mechanism to address problems in place before.
So it sounds like to me, Chief, that Ferguson was kind of missing that foundation of that, what you're calling community policing, and so is more reactive and proactive.
You know, I'm many miles away from Ferguson, and I don't know all the details of what has gone on, but certainly it looks like the foundational piece of working with the community and having that police-community relation piece was missing. So the only mechanism at this point is a reaction.
Yeah. And
the reaction component is never as good as when you have that foundation to build upon.
Yeah. No, one of the things, I really like that whole aspect of community policing. I think it works. I think
it does work.
What you talked about is building relationship, building trust. And so often when you have, a community that don't trust somebody that's supposed to be, the sworn officers to protect and uphold, the laws and things like that, you have a problem. There's a disconnect. And so I think building the trust is so important. What are some steps that we're taking here locally, Chief, to continue to strengthen that? I know NAACP President Vicki Young, she wrote in, and hopefully we'll be able to put her statement on the screen at some time. But the whole aspect of cameras on the bodies of
body cameras, sure.
Yeah. So give me some thoughts and some other things that you guys are looking at to strengthen those
absolutely
relationships.
Well, once you establish that police-community relations piece, that's a garden that constantly has to be tended to. So, but that's fine, because that's a philosophy, it's a culture of a police department working with the community, and it has to ebb and flow because every community is different.
Right.
But in addition to that, once you establish the culture of the police department, you have to have ongoing training, and to include cultural sensitivity, to include racial profiling training, to include all the training that encompasses on a dynamic job that police officers face. And then there's the accountability piece and the discipline piece and how you establish all of that within a department. That's so very important.
Okay.
Now, body cameras is just one piece of it. I am a proponent of body cameras. I think that it's technology that's advanced far enough to be very useful in law enforcement. I do want to caution everybody, it's not a cure-all.
Yeah.
It's not a cure-all. There will be times where it doesn't capture the action. There will be times where it doesn't work. And the reality of body cameras is it's very hard to outfit an entire police department. Yeah. And what we have chosen to do in Omaha, because we believe in the viability of the product and of what can it do to tone behaviors down, not only on the public side, but perhaps on the law enforcement side as well. And it also captures that independent piece of evidence that's so very important in all these cases.
That's right.
What we have chosen to do in Omaha is test the system, do a pilot testing. So we want to test the cameras itself to see how they operate, how the evidence is collected, and how it interfaces with our technology infrastructure. And then what we are planning to do in early 2015 is start the process of making our initial purchase. Tim, what we're going to do is make incremental purchases. We're not going to do all 800 officers at one time and hope and pray that it works. We're going to phase it in, maybe 35 at a time.
Yeah.
Start with that. Let's see how it works. Make sure that those are placed in strategic parts of our city, perhaps more of the higher crime areas, so we can capture things that do occur. And we will start phasing it in that way.
Is this something that it's the police officers, are they receptive to this? Is it something that the community is calling for, or folks are, how do we arrive?
You know, there aren't a whole lot of people that are not receptive to it. I know my officers, a lot of my officers want to purchase their own body cameras. There's an appetite for body cameras. The key is, Tim, is to do it appropriately and do it with the proper procedures, infrastructure, evidence collection, and then we do need to manage expectations as well.
Yeah.
Cameras will not capture everything. They're not infallible. And privacy piece to them as well that has to be massaged through. So I urge, on the camera front, I urge for the use of body cameras, but to do it appropriately and measured.
Yeah, that's, and now, I think any components that will help, and I think, you know, it's good to hear that the police officer are welcoming this, you know, this piece of equipment, because that all kind of add to this whole thing of accountability and people that there's really out there to do the right thing. They're not afraid of accountability. They're here for the right reasons, and they want to help. They want to serve and protect the community. And there's so many. I hate to, when you have incidents like Ferguson and all over the country, bad incidents where police officers are given a bad rap. The majority of officers are there. They have good intent. They're committed to serve and protect. And so their job is unbelievable. And that moment, that moment of decision where somebody has to choose to use their weapon or not, I can't even begin to think about that. So, I mean, so there's so many in the training. Maybe we can talk to that, because that's where I think a lot of this tension comes when somebody chooses to pull a weapon. But there's a lot of training that go into before they decide to pull that weapon.
There's a lot of training, and there's a lot of vetting of that candidate before they even become a police officer. There's many, many layers to this. Police work is very dynamic. It takes on a lot of different shapes and sizes, and situations are constantly evolving. And you hear about the shootings such as in Ferguson, but I can tell you every day there's a scenario in which an officer uses judgment not to deploy their firearm. It happens. We have probably over 1 million citizen encounters a year just in the city of Omaha. Imagine what a city like New York would have. So I paint that broad stroke just to say that you are accurate. Majority of police encounters, majority of police relationships with the community interactions are very positive. That training piece is something that it starts in our background process. We want to make sure we get the proper candidate for this job with the proper temperament to be able to handle the good and the bad.
That's right. Yeah.
And once we feel we've identified that candidate, it's a matter of us training them as to how to be a law enforcement officer in a major city. And they will go through 22 weeks of training, and heavy focus is on their decision making, whether or not to shoot, not to shoot, whether or not to arrest, or not arrest, whether or not to use force, what level of force.